Good. All right. Welcome everybody. It's 5:32 and I'm going to open up the April 2nd, 2018 Board of Selectmen meeting. If everybody could please stand for the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Welcome everybody. First on tonight's agenda, we have New Hampshire DOT here. I'd like to welcome Brian Scott. Brian Scott. Have a discussion about the parking downtown by the dam. Welcome. Thank you for coming.
All right, thank you. Stan, would you like me
You're
to
welcome.
approach you?
Come up or stand there, sit there, whatever you'd prefer to do.
Okay. So, this past year I met with Chief of Police, Chief Kraus, to try to come up with a resolution to the parking issues that we were having downtown. So that's really what I'm here to do, is to talk about that over with the town to see if we can somehow work together to solve those issues. So
Yep.
that's the only reason I'm here.
Yep, great.
Okay.
Appreciate you coming out tonight.
Yep. So I don't know if the chief was going to be here.
Can you guys speak a little bit louder, please? I'm sorry, we can't hear you.
Sure. Yeah, the only reason I'm here is to try to work with the town to resolve some of the parking issues that we have in downtown during winter maintenance operations. We have vehicles that are parked on the side of the road down by the dam that are prohibiting our snow removal operation, forcing us into the other lane. They're just out too close. They shouldn't be parked on the pavement anyway. So I'm here to work with the town. I've spoken with Mr. Lucier on the issue a few times, so done a little research. So I'm kind of open to suggestions. We can talk about how we can work together to solve the parking issue.
Okay. So, the police chief is running a few minutes late. He will be here in a few minutes.
That's fine.
So.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll start it because I was the original complainer. I guess what transpired was, have a seat. Make yourself comfortable. There were vehicles downtown that have been there for over 2 years that were loaded with garbage. I understand it's state property. I mean, my goal is not to put no parking downtown. You know, they talk about posting it so that nobody can use the park downtown. That is was not, the bottom line is they were unregistered, there were vehicles that were full of garbage, they had the windows smashed out of them, that sat there for over 2 years, had trees growing up through them. So that was my complaint, that we needed to clean up the mess downtown. And then it mushroomed into, well, they're going to park it, make it so there's no parking at all, so nobody can use the park. And I know that during some of the snowstorms that some of the vehicles were, in the winter, were parked, they were over the white line to the point where, you know, I'm sure the wings were going to clip through the front of them. And
Yep.
so, bottom line is, I'm not against parking downtown at the dam, but we've got to come up with some kind of a, they were parked at the dam and on the side of the state highway.
Correct.
I don't know if you do both the Dam Bureau or is that Jim Gallagher? I had spoken to Jim Gallagher about it, so that was, you know, it's also another big issue for fire suppression for the town of Milton, where we have a lousy hydrant system in town, and basically that is our water source. To the point where they had gone, the Dam Bureau went into Milton Garage and told them to move their vehicles. Well, obviously they did not belong to Milton Garage. They belonged to the apartment buildings across the street.
Yeah.
So the bottom line is, it starts with the landlords of the apartment building who are supposed to provide 2 parking spots per unit.
Right. So I think we need to just
anyway,
stick with.
But so
the parking. So
that's what we're getting
here.
at. The problem is the parking because of the apartments. So how we move forward, I don't know. I mean, the biggest problem was there was vehicles there that hadn't moved in 2 years, at least, full of garbage. I mean, it wasn't a good site for your, you know, for the dam. I mean, for the state. It
Right.
is state property. So
if we start with asking you guys as the state, in the ideal world, I think obviously it sounds like you'd like to see no parking there.
No, I mean we I agree with the selectmen that, you know, there's a park there, okay? It has parking. It's off the pavement, okay? So how do we work together to enforce that whatever parking is occurring there is off the pavement, and we can, you know, maintain the safety of the highway and maintain the highway during a snowstorm? I have a copy of the parking ordinance, and when I read that, it basically says if you're not in a parking spot, you're illegally parked, right? So a lot of those vehicles were, as we described, they weren't in a parking spot, therefore to me they're illegally parked. I mean, we don't want to put up no parking signs because the state will not put a criteria on it, like from December to April 1st, okay? If it's no parking, it's no parking year round. And obviously you need parking. People want to go to the park, they need a place to park. And that's what that gravel area is for. So I don't know if the town wants to put up some signs to say 2-hour parking limit.
Can we put up signs, or is it
Yes.
your property?
No,
where-
you can get permission from us to put up those sorts of signs. You know, we can, there's one spot out there next to the last parallel parking that we may want to work together with the town to create a parking regulation so people do not park in front of that dam, so the Dam Bureau can have access to its property, because apparently they've showed up a few times and they couldn't get to the dam. So, and it sounds like, if I understood you correctly, that the fire truck's back in there and we'll fill up a tanker there or something?
Right, that's a water supply for.
Yeah, so, I mean, it sounds pretty straightforward to me that, you know, some signs, you know, to limit 2-hour parking at the park or something like that. The problem also is there's parking there, but we don't maintain it, and I'm not sure if the town maintains that parking for the park. I mean, no, but I don't see a lot of cars parked there in the wintertime to go down and sit at the picnic tables, so.
No. But in the summer, there are a lot of people that do utilize the park, so.
So, sounds like you'd be open to maybe, because there's some areas down there really, in reality, no cars really should park anytime, because there's not enough room, and I think we've had that problem where cars are parking there.
Yep.
So if we put up 2 signs that you could park in between these 2 signs.
Yeah, put it where the park is, you know, 2-hour limit. No parking in this area where we could access to the dam, and down where the parking for the park is 2-hour time limit, something like that. I see the chief walked in. So,
I would like to invite Chief Kraus up. I know you're walking in a few minutes late.
2-hour time limits is 2-hour time limit's going to be a bit of an issue on tagging cars. We don't have parking officers in town. I can ask my officers to tag cars to mark for 2 hours. But just like I said, for the parking in front of the businesses for Pizza Nut, that it's not something that's enforceable for 15 minutes, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, even 2 hours of the parking down there.
Okay.
We can make it short-term parking. I don't have a problem with that, so that it's not overnight parking for a couple of spots. That's easier to deal with. If we see vehicles that are long-term parking there, we can deal with those we can make contact with those people and let them know this is short-term parking. It's not for overnight parking and no long-term parking.
And the short-term parking would really be to the right of where that ramp is to go down to the dam? Is that what we're...
To the left as
To the
you
left
face
of
it, from the ramp to the left to the north side, but before you get to the pole where it blocks the dam.
yeah, I believe there's parking on both sides of that ramp, actually.
Are you going all the way to the pole, though?
He wants to block one back so that the Dam Bureau can't get into their building if we take that one that's...
Right, because the Dam Bureau's property, the poles are both sides. So the pole comes, 5 feet from the telephone pole on one side, and then to where the sidewalk drops on both of the other sides.
What's your suggestion?
No parking on the pavement and no long-term parking, like Chief's going on. And you know, if you have to, then they need to be removed. I mean, I didn't bring any pictures with me, but we have plenty of pictures to show the cars that were parked there during the wintertime, during a snowstorm, that were prohibiting us from maintaining the highway properly.
So what if we put a sign for the parking area and then extended that current parking ban that we have on Route 125 to also that parking area? So then that way, in the winter months, there would be no parking there at all. Would that work?
Yeah, so what you're saying, and I'm not sure if that is the same, the winter parking ban, is that different than this parking ordinance in general?
I said that one's pretty vague. That doesn't.
This one,
This-
yes, this is pretty
That's
vague.
almost year round.
So this is the one for marked spots only.
Correct.
So this one is only from once you get to the guardrail in downtown by Veterans Park to Depot Pond Road.
Can you explain this to everybody that's in the audience so they
Yep.
kind of have an idea what we're talking about?
So this is the ordinance that went in 2001, 2002 that allowed us to line the parking spots in downtown. Those residents who have been here long enough will remember that downtown used to just be, unfortunately, a free-for-all. People would park wherever they wanted on 125, and it would make it a single-lane passable. If you were lucky, you could get a fire truck and police cruiser through there because there'd be cars on both sides of the road. The Selectmen in 2001, 2002 decided to put an ordinance in place and get permission from the state to line those spots in downtown and make it so you could only park in the line spots to make it safer for travel in downtown. That's what this parking ordinance is, 2001-02. And then there's a winter parking ban, which is part of our snow removal policy. You have a copy of that?
This is all we could find here. This one? This one?
No, it's the snow removal policy that we have on the website.
Oh, the stone, no, we didn't have to bring that in here.
Okay.
You want me
So-
to try to grab it?
The other parking ban that Chairman Tebow was talking about is the snow removal policy.
Here's the other
The
part.
back half of the snow removal policy puts in a winter parking ban from December 1st through April 15th. They can't park on any public way within the town of Milton from 10:30 at night until 7 o'clock in the morning.
Here's that other
Yeah, it's not
one. We
this
went
one.
way back.
So this is the one, and then the
The
snow
two
removal
previous ones.
So I guess what
So I'm
what
sorry, Chief, that's for all of 125 or just?
That's all town roads.
All
So
town
all
roads.
public ways within the town of Milton. So 125, 75, 153, all of them.
It's gotta be roadways though. You can't say public ways because technically this parking lot out here is a public way, correct?
Well, they can't park in this parking lot out here without Selectmen's permission. That's been a Selectmen policy since 2004. That Selectmen will give permission for specifically the first 9 houses, I believe it is, on Charles Street out here, because those houses don't have a lot of off-street parking. So the way the Selectmen have always done it is they've given those houses on that side of the road, they come in, see the Selectmen, get permission, and they can park in this parking lot out here overnight.
Yeah, so if
So basically, I guess what I would ask is that have the state come in, post the areas they don't want people to park in, the dam property.
He said he doesn't wanna post them. He wants us to do the,
He wants us to do it. Okay, the problem is we don't know your exact boundaries. So I would ask that you guys come in and post your boundaries so we know where they are.
Sure.
Then we can enforce it. I have no problem with having my department enforce those signs. As long as the board is okay with us enforcing it without a DOT complaining witness from this point forward, we'll enforce it the same way we enforce our parking lots. Once those signs go up for no parking.
I mean, is
So-
sun up to dusk? I mean, is that unreasonable as far as people like using the downtown for parking? I mean, that's,
I have no problem with it being the same as the ordinance we have for use of that park. So use of that park, they can only use it from sun up to dusk.
So my only thing is, we all know parking downtown is a problem, and I think we're gonna be taking a closer look at that in the near future. But in the meantime, we do have apartments downtown. We're short on parking, if we do the dawn to dusk, nobody's gonna be able to park in any of those spots that live in those apartments overnight, which I don't know if is really gonna help out.
I think after next week, and technically if the board wants to tonight, the board can waive the enforcement of the winter parking ban for the next week, because it's only April 15th, it's a weekend, what?
Well, I guess, the dawn to dusk parking is different than the winter parking ban.
Correct.
So I guess what I'm saying is, going to dawn to dusk parking for all the spots by the dam at this current time, I don't think would be a good idea, because...
But I think what I'm saying is after next week, after
Yep.
the 15th, we're not going to have this parking issue over there anymore, because they're going to be able to still park on the street. They're not going to move their cars at night over to that spot. Their cars will still be out on 125.
Okay.
So they'll mostly be parked in front of their apartment buildings in those marked spots.
So I can work with the chief and come up with a plan on where those critical areas are. It's really the wintertime that's the problem for us, because nobody's maintaining those gravel parking areas in front of Veterans Park. So they're just parking on the pavement or into the travelway during the winter maintenance. So, okay.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, because I just think to the left of that ramp going down, we should have the same rules for the winter parking in place, and then maybe to the right, just have dawn to dusk parking, so that way those spots would be dedicated just really for the park. That would be my...
They're not guardrails, but the decorative rails that are there, those are owned by us, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm
All right.
good with
I'll
that.
work with chief
So
and we'll
we'll
come
just-
up with a plan.
We'll have to just add to the winter parking ban. We'll have to add to that ordinance those spots specifically, and then we'll just have to have a public hearing so the residents know that we're adding that to the ordinance, and then we can add that officially to the ordinance.
Okay, all right, I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Appreciate you saying that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Spell his last name, S-C-H-O-T-T.
Okay.
You have to wait till 6,
No, because we 5:30. All right, so next on the agenda is a summary of the 326 BOS workshop. The intention of this summary was we had a conversation about the public comment section of the Board of Selectmen meeting. We have decided that public comment is going to be moved to the beginning of the meeting. We're going to put a time limit that each person can speak once for a maximum of 3 minutes. The public comment section of the agenda is not intended to be a question and answer section between the BOS. Anyone that would like to get on the agenda and have a conversation with the BOS is invited to fill out a Selectmen agenda request form, which can be found on the website or picked up at Town Hall. The purpose of this is just solely so we can be prepared to have the conversation and we can be more organized and hopefully more efficient. Just a general note, the department head comments are not considered public comments, and we encourage the department heads to be involved in the discussions of the Board of Selectmen when they have pertinent information on the subject being discussed. We also, in the very near future, are working on adopting some bylaws, which will have all the details on how the meetings will be run. Once these bylaws will be determined and adopted, they'll be readily available for everybody, so everybody's on the same page and everybody understands how we're going to run the Board of Selectmen meetings going forward, how we're going to run the workshops. Again, the sole purpose of this is to be more organized so we can move the town forward. We have a whole new board trying different ways to get things done, and we really want to have a successful year this year. So, that being said, I will open up the public comment section of the meeting. Tom?
Probably guess what I'm gonna ask. why was the meeting decided to not be recorded on Monday when you had your workshop?
Thank you for your comment, but again, we're not going to be question and answers during public comment.
Okay. I'll be submitting a request to talk about it next time.
Lynette?
Quick thing. I don't know if this, now, when you guys get all this together and everything else, and we put something on the agenda, at that point, can we talk longer than 3 minutes?
Yeah.
Again, this isn't intended to be a question and answer section of the meeting, and we need to be consistent going forward, so if you would like to make your comment, I thank you for your comment.
Can you define what a comment is versus a question? I guess.
I have a comment, that's not a question. I think that, first of all, requiring the public to only participate in these meetings at the beginning, prior to any discussion that's taken place, is pretty much precluding us from participating in any way. From a town that has consistently over the years complained that the town doesn't participate enough, not letting us participate and not letting us ask questions is exclusive at the very least, and I don't know, worse than that, with language I won't use on the recording, at the very worst. No
Okay.
question asked, just a comment.
Thank you.
Okay. One other comment, this really is a comment. I like submitting the selectmen request forms. It does two things. One, gives you a chance to prepare for whatever we might ask, especially off-the-wall things like I have occasionally come with. And the other one is it gives a method of traceability. If somebody wants to see what was talked about, that's a piece of paper that can be requested and there is no request. So I think that's not necessarily a bad thing to do that.
Thank you. Heather?
Just an FYI, we have a selectman who's ill tonight and she's not able to be here, but she has asked, she's texting me as we speak, and she has asked that the people who are speaking give their names. So if you would be so kind as to give your names, as when you do speak, she can't recognize the voices, so thank you.
Steve Canish. I basically want to second what Eric said. I just don't think that this new idea you have of how the meeting should be conducted, and in particular to not have a back and forth question and answer format to any degree, it just isn't going to be conducive to a participation by the public and to a good, meaningful dialogue. So, enough said.
Thank you.
I think I have something that's a comment, not a question.
Just please state your name first.
Dennis Woods. I heard you talk about a little bit about how you're going to be running meetings, and the one thing that I didn't hear was visibility and the ability for us to understand where you guys are and on different subjects and so forth. So visibility, I think, is the big thing, and people have been complaining about that for years. I didn't hear that as part of the attempt to change the way the meetings are run.
Okay, thank you.
Timothy Long. I just have a suggestion that public comments be allowed to continue to at the end of the meeting instead of the beginning. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you. Is that it for public comment?
Larry Brown. Structurally, every board has a danger of liability and partiality when they open the meeting to public comment. And so there's a necessity to make sure that comments are limited so that one side does not seem to prevail or have the ear of the select board. The other issue would be the end of the meeting where a additional public comment could give the board the feedback for what it had done. Those are two good things for public comment. Unfortunately, for a third comment, I can't read my own writing, which is typical. Oh, the word is dialogue. The structure of candidates' night was an excellent dialogue, and if on perhaps a quarterly basis there were an extended question and answer, call and response for a selectmen's meeting, that could be useful.
Thank you. Lynette?
Okay. I agree with the gentleman here as far as having the public be able to talk at the beginning and end. The school does that, and it's really nice. It allows you to have something to say at the top, and then when you guys have said whatever you've said, then to say something back.
Thank you.
If I have 30 seconds left, the Budget Committee had public input to the good order of the meeting and the topic at hand.
Thank you.
That was last year.
All right. Yes.
3 minutes. I'm your executive counsel, Joe Kenny, and for your selectmen that's online there, I represent from Milton to Pittsburgh to Claremont. And so this is a time of year where I get around to the new boards. And just to introduce myself, so I'm going to leave some cards here. But we have 3 functions really in state government. We vote on all state contracts, all boards and commission appointments, and judicial appointments. This Friday we have 2 public hearings for Associate Justice of the State Supreme Court, Patrick Donovan. And secondly, we have a new commissioner nominee for the Natural and Cultural Affairs Department, which is Sarah Stewart. So that department oversees forests and lands and the state parks. Later this month, I'll be taking the DOT Commissioner, Victoria Sheehan, on the road. So if there's any particular items you have here in Milton that you'd like to address, I'd be glad to divert her into this neck of the woods. We did talk a little bit about Exit 18 last year when we did a site visit to look at that development project. And also we talked with the gentleman who owns the, I believe the Chinese restaurant food place above his property across the street. So 2 things you might want to be aware of is that the state now has a water drinking fund, roughly about $276 million to help municipalities with their water drinking systems. And so that's as a result of the Exxon settlement fund that came out. Also this particular area is not, it just misses the eligibility, but we have the Northern Borders Grant process that's going on as well, which is about $3 or $4 million that will be in the bucket this time around. So with that, again, I work with the commissioners, everyone, and have their cell phone numbers if the town of Milton needs me for anything with regards to state agencies or state government on any topic. Obviously, our big topic these days is dealing with the drug opioid crisis, providing a lot of contracts for treatment, recovery, and for enforcement. So that's high on our topic. And then with the resurfacing program, that will kick in very shortly. We'll start voting on contracts. And this district, there'll be about 500 miles of roads that will be resurfaced. So we've got a lot going on as far as infrastructure. And no, we don't build new roads. But I just wanted to just give you a quick update.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. I will close public comment. I don't see any more. Next on the agenda, goal setting workshop with department heads. I know we've talked about this before. Heather?
We did a survey, and it seems like the 18th at 4 seems to be the best time for everyone except for 1 and possibly 2 people, with the department heads and the Board of Selectmen at 4 o'clock here, and hopefully everybody can make it.
Okay.
Does that work?
I'm good with that. Andy, you good with that?
And
Okay.
Aaron was good. The 2 that cannot be here, if they could, I know one person said she could send a representative, and the other person is hopefully going to give me notes and suggestions, and then we'll be good.
Okay.
So we'll plan that on the schedule. We'll
Yep.
put that on your trusty calendar you prepared for us.
Yeah, you can update that on the website.
I will update that on the website.
Okay.
Or Daniela. She's very good for the website.
All right, so next on the agenda, fire station sale update. Unfortunately, we did have a purchase and sales. but it has fallen through. So we no longer have this property in sale pending mode. So we need to make a decision on what we want to do going forward. I don't know if we want to table this conversation when we have a full board here. I know we've tried selling it ourselves. My personal opinion is maybe it's time that we hire a commercial realtor and let them handle it, see where it goes from there. I don't know what your thoughts are, if we want to wait till we have a full board.
I'd love to see the thing gone, is what I'd love to see, so, I mean, pushing it out another couple weeks, I don't know.
Well, I guess Erin is stating that she'd like to see a realtor take
That's
it.
fine, I'll 100% behind it. I mean, do we still stuck with the assessed, we have to get the assessed value of it?
We have to go with what we came up with, the commercial appraisal.
Yeah, okay.
However, we could maybe
Yeah.
talk to them
Okay.
again, but we'd have to pay for another commercial appraisal. which
And
is
talk to them,
expensive.
just to clarify, it's the Attorney General.
So as far as...
Attorney General's
Right,
office, the issue.
Right. So as far as a real estate agent, I mean, obviously we want to get somebody with a commercial, I don't know how the heck we go about that, but...
So,
Do you
do
want
we
me to-
want to delegate it to Heather to
Let me get
check out 2 or
commercial
3
real-
different
Okay.
commercial realtors and see if,
I'll get some proposals for
Yeah,
about 3.
that's fine.
Okay.
yeah,
Commercial appraisals. Okay.
and we have an update for the next
That's what
BOS
I'll do.
meeting.
I'll get it for April 16th. How's that?
Okay.
Erin said if we needed to call, we could,
Okay.
but we'll go with that.
All right, next on the agenda, now we're under new business, Conservation Commission appointment request. We have 2 requests. One is Steve Banish, and the other is Karen Golub. Both have been serving on the Conservation Commission and have expressed interest in continuing.
I'm good with it.
My recommendation would be to go with it as well. So, want to make a
I
motion?
make a motion that the 2, Karen Gold and Steve Banish, to Conservation Commission.
I'll second it. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. Do you guys want to be sworn in now?
Might as well.
Okay. Come on up. All right. So, raise your right hand. Repeat after me. I state your name.
Steve Karen Golub.
Do solemnly swear that I will faithfully
Do solemnly swear that I will faithfully
and impartially discharge
and impartially discharge
and perform all the duties
and perform all the duties
incumbent on me as a Conservation Commission member,
incumbent on me as a Conservation Commission member,
according to the best of my abilities,
according to the best of my abilities,
agreeable to the rules and regulations
adhering to the rules and regulations
of the Constitution and laws
of the Constitution and laws
of the state of New Hampshire.
of the state of New Hampshire.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations. Thank you.
Congratulations, welcome.
Wait a
Congratulations.
minute.
And
You guys need...
we have some paperwork you guys need to
Each of you
sign.
need to sign, and then she needs to sign. First thing before you... All right, this is where I was getting confused. So you guys stop the signing now.
Here, you won't have them. This one's you. So, needs to sign right there, right?
Can I borrow your pen, please?
Thank you.
You sign the rest.
Thank you.
Excuse me, I've got a concern with your environment, and to know. I believe you're communicating with the selectmen that's out here with text messages or messaging. You're not allowed to do that. It has to be discernible to the public. She can call in on speaker so we can hear her, or you can show us what she's saying. But twice I've heard comment about she said this or she said that, and we're not supposed to do that.
Great, thank you. That was a
mistake.
That was a mistake on our part. Didn't realize that. We'd be glad to show you the
Sometimes
text messages
people
after.
pull out the hand, but I
We
just
will
wanna
stop
make sure
that from
that-
this point forward.
Yep.
Thank
We
you.
can ask her if she can call in. We could do that.
I
Do you wanna-
guess I just don't want, things tend to grow a life of their own around here.
Do you want me to hook up a
Thank you,
phone?
appreciate it.
Why
Okay,
don't you bring a phone in here?
all right. Next on the agenda, Economic Development Committee Charge and Appointment Requests. So we have a change in the charge of the committee in front of us here. I have read it and reviewed it. I'm all set with accepting it. So I'll make a motion to accept the Town of Millen Economic Development Committee charge.
Second it.
That's right. All in favor? Aye. Okay, and next is appointment request. There's a little bit of a technical glitch right now with this because I believe the board is technically full, even though I think there's been one member that hasn't been going. So my recommendation is we table the appointment until we know for sure what's going on.
Yep.
All right. Next on the agenda, cruiser lease and trade-in possibilities. Chief Kraus.
So part of the CIP program for this year for the police department is the cruiser lease, and so we would get rid of 3 of our frontline cars, and we would replace those 3 frontline cars with a new lease for those cars to replace those 3 frontline cars. The question that I have for the board before I start the process of communicating with the lease companies, what would you like me to do with those 3 frontline cars that we're going to be taking out of service? One of them has 95,000 miles on it. By the time the lease is up, I'm expecting that to be close to 100,000. The other one has 80, I think it's 84,000, so I'd expect that to be close to 90,000. And the last one has about 67,000 miles on it. So I'm expecting that to be around 72, 75,000 by the time that comes ready for out of service. So in the past, when we've outsourced these cruisers, we've traded them in. Usually the Crown Vics, we weren't getting a lot of money for them on trade-in value. The fire department bought one of the Crown Vics for trade-in value. The trade-in value that year was $2,500 on that vehicle. The other vehicle that we were going to trade in one year is the town's vehicle, the 2010 Explorer that is being used by the highway department for cleaning. I think that year we were going to get $4,500 for that vehicle. So that's what I'm looking for the board for. Before I start talking to the lease companies, what do you want me to do with those vehicles? Do you want me to see what value they have for trade-in and have the town keep them? Because the town currently owns those vehicles. The lease is up on those 3 frontline cars. The town owns those 3 cars. And if not, if the town doesn't want to keep them, then we trade them all in. Does the town want to keep one of them for Town Hall, where Town Hall is now going to be doing more of the bank runs again, where we have a new treasurer? My suggestion is that we do not have town employees using their personal vehicles to do town business. If they get into a motor vehicle accident, the town's insurance company will own that vehicle. If they get into a crash, there is case law on that. So it's my suggestion that they're using a town vehicle to do town business if a town vehicle is available to them. But again, that's up to the board.
So my personal opinion would be to see what we could get for trade-in value and reassess the situation once we know what the trade-in value are of the vehicles.
Okay.
That's my opinion.
I agree. I don't know. I'm totally against keeping them. I'm sorry. That's been biting us in the butt. It keeps biting us in the butt. So Yeah, I'd say see what we get for trade-in, what,
Trading in all three of them?
yep,
And then we can
we can revisit it down the road.
yeah,
Okay.
might be better off to get rid of one of our other older vehicles, or I don't know, but I think we should first see what we can get for trade-in and go from there.
Okay, I'll evaluate the trade-in value on all three of them, and then I'll come back and see you guys.
Okay, thank you. All right, next on the agenda, tax deeded parcels, map 43, lot 24s, sub 6 and 8. And this is Kathy Wallingford. Would you like to come up and speak?
We have two tax deeded properties that were tax deeded by the tax collector in 11/2014. The previous owner of the property has approached my department asking if we would consider the buyback. I have attached a copy of the RSA for you to look at. The RSA gave them rights to do a buyback, but it ran out in November of 2017. So he's gone past, almost 5 months past his deadline to approach the town for the buyback.
And the total buyback period was 3 years.
It was 3 years by the
So-
state law, yes. And there had been no kind of agreement with him. We hadn't been working with him on those two lots. So I feel that the RSA is in place.
Yep. My take on it is, it's unfortunate, but there was a 3-year span.
It is lovely.
We're gonna be careful not to set a precedence,
True.
and I think we should follow through with what the RSA states and not go forward with a repurchase.
Agree.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
You need that motion,
Do we need to make a motion for that, or? No, we can do, right?
Right. Wouldn't be a bad idea.
Okay,
I make a motion that we stick with policy, they missed the 3 years. And
won't do a repurchase
Yep,
on
yep,
map 43, lot 24, sub 6 and 8.
yep.
I'll second that. All in favor?
Yep.
All right. Right, next landlord filing with town clerk, RSA 540:1-A and B. Michelle?
Actually, I'll let Rich speak for this.
So, going back to the landlords, some of the landlords, that RSA allows the town to mandate the landlords give us documentation on contact information, both physical contact information and telephonic contact information. Currently, Michelle does collect that information, but we don't currently have an ordinance in town that allows us to force them to do it through a penalty. So if a landlord decided they didn't want to do it, we don't have the ability to cite them currently. With that ordinance, that allows us to do that. There is the state law, but we have to adopt that state law through an ordinance to be able to write that citation. So that's the ordinance that you have in front of you. It has been reviewed by council, correct?
You have to ask the town administrator.
You do.
Council
Yeah.
reviewed that?
Yes.
Okay. So we
Walter
would need
Mitchell's
to have a
office.
public hearing on that to let the residents know what we're trying to put in place for an ordinance, explain the ordinance to them. The basis of the ordinance is so that we have the ability to contact the landlords in our community when we have a problem. If we have issues, code issues, if we have law enforcement or fire issues at different apartment buildings or different complexes in town, we have someone that we can get in touch with and get in touch with very quickly and easily. As well as Michelle's ability to locate them for tax deed purposes or tax information purposes.
Okay.
So to me, it's more of a house cleaning ordinance than it is.
And we'll have to have a public hearing and
Right, you still need a
Post
public.
it.
we can post a public hearing.
Yeah.
Yep. I think we should go forward with it.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, so do you want to schedule
Mhm.
a public hearing and
Yeah.
everything we need to do to get this in place?
Yeah, Walter Mitchell looked at it and was fine with it.
Okay. All right.
To go with it?
Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, next on the agenda, approval of government building security updates.
Yes, there's a quote in there for some of the security updates for government buildings in this building.
It's not all of it though, correct?
No, we're waiting for more quotes. We have another meeting with them this week.
Do we want to wait and do it all at once, or do they?
They said there might be another company involved, so this was the first part. That's why this
Okay,
is probably
I'll
with
make a
them.
motion that we approve this. It's not really go public with it.
Just the figure,
Just
the
the
dollar
figure.
figure.
I make a motion that we accept the price of $446 for security upgrades from Northeast Security Agency.
I'll second it. All in favor?
Yep.
All right. Okay, next on the agenda, discussion of Town Beach 2017 tractor purchase. Andy Lucier.
This one, I am having a horrible, 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 horrible time with. The Town Beach, somehow I cannot find it in any of the minutes. I've gone through all the Parks and Recs minutes. As I said in our workshop, that the town website is horrible. I hate going through it. It's not easy to navigate, and I'm going to bring that up again at some point so that we can get that to the point. But anyways, somehow down the line, I don't know, they can't find any documentation on it where the Town Beach purchased last year a $12,000 tractor to drag the town beach. I just think it's a total waste of money for 6, 7, 8 weeks a year that, you know, for 5 minutes of dragging the sand at the town beach, we're spending that kind of money on a tractor to drag the town beach. When I was a kid, we did it, 2 of us did it, myself and the lifeguard did it with by hand. And I don't know how we undo it. I don't know if we can undo it. It blew my mind last year when I saw it, and it's still on my mind. And I just want the public to know that, you know, somehow down the line, it's $10,000 plus in the good sign that we spent on a tractor to drag the town beach. And I just think that the town of Milton has got to stop thinking new. Everything's got to be new, and it's just, I don't know. I'm just beside myself as far as it's a waste of money. Bottom line, there's nobody in this room that can convince me otherwise. It is a total waste of money. So I would love to be able to get rid of it and get something that's a little bit more practical. Like I know we do ball fields all the time. We do sand with zero-turn mowers, so something with no mower deck on it would drag the beach. But to spend that kind of money, I heard $12,000, but we get a good deal because we traded in a $2,000 machine. But I just think it's a taxpayer's waste of money. I'm just told you I'm going to look out for the taxpayers' money, and that's just what I'm doing. I think it's a total waste of money. How we move forward, I don't know how we can do it. I don't know if we can renege on it, tell them to come pick it up, or we paid for it outright. The minutes of the rec department, I can't make heads or tails of it. I mean, the last thing I see if you go on the town website is May of last year was the last time they had a meeting. And then at what point, I can't find in any of the selectmen's meetings where there was authorized to spend 10, 12, 11, I don't know what it was. It was over $10,000 on a tractor. I just like to know where it was, how it became. I just think it's a waste of money. There's nothing that can convince me differently. I mean, I've done it. I mean, I'm sorry. It's just a total waste of money, and I think people need to know about it. So if somebody can enlighten me, I'd love to hear how we got there, but
I don't know. don't believe it ever came in front of the Board of Selectmen while I've been on the board, so.
Well, who signed it? Who signed the check for it? That's what I just. And they, you know, there again, when we get into the next agenda item, it's going to be about the revolving funds. I'm sure if it came out, I don't know how this stuff is happening, but it's got to stop. It's just, it's a waste of money. I'm sorry. There's $10,000 right there down the tube at least. So, but you don't know about it.
I don't know how it was purchased, no. So.
All right, so what do? Just we're going to be putting it back on the agenda until we find out what the story is, how we got to this point.
Well, I guess it really probably should go in front of the rec commission, because I would assume it went through the rec commission.
It went to the rec commission.
Well, how can it go to the rec commission when it was bought last fall and they didn't meet since May unless they didn't do minutes? And there again, go back to the town website. The town website stinks. There's no documentation that shows, or nobody can show me any documentation. I'd love to see the documentation of where this came forward. That was huge money.
All right.
Now I'm mad.
Great. Okay. So I don't really have much to say other than I guess I would recommend you talking to the rec commission. I mean, I understand you're frustrated and you can't find the information, but
I mean, does it bother you? Do you think that it requires a $12,000 tractor to drag the town beach? I mean,
no, but I would like to know more of the details of why it was bought. Maybe it was bought for multiple reasons. I don't know. Without having the details, just saying, I can't really make a call one way or the other, you know what I'm saying, without the information.
Either one of us have the information on this.
So nobody knows who bought it. I guess is.
No, neither one of us can speak to it.
Unfortunately, I mean, since I've been on the board, there was no conversation I've been part of that involved the tractor that was bought from the beach.
I don't think it was under our purview.
So I wish I had an answer, but
well, when we go to the next agenda item, which we can move that one over to the next one and bring it back up again, is the revolving funds. I mean, there again, we're getting into the same damn thing again. With revolving funds, I understand the revolving funds, but I do not, for future purchases, but I do not feel that 1, 2, 3, being Aaron that's not here, should be spending the taxpayers' money for equipment. If they took this out of the revolving fund for the beach, I don't know where it came from. I mean, if they did, I don't think that the three of us should make a $10,000 choice. It should be the voters or the taxpayers of Milton. They're the ones that are paying the bills. If they feel that there's a need for a $10,000 machine to drag the town beach, let them approve it. And then, with revolving funds, I mean, I still think, bottom line is, I think that we should limit these. I mean, and there again, I don't think that the three of us, as selectmen, should be approving expenditures. I mean, whether we come up with, I mean, I know if they have, a compact to go down at the landfill, if we need to do it. The town of Milton should not be in the business to make money. I mean, I looked on just in the town report at what some of the balances are, and I just can't picture what we're going to do with all of that money. So I guess I need some explanations as to the revolving funds, and there again, I don't think it should be up to the three selectmen to spend, unless it's an emergency, to spend money out of those revolving funds. It should come from the taxpayers that are going to be spending the money. It's their money. I don't feel that three of us should be spending, tens of thousands of dollars of the taxpayers' money. It's their money. So, how's that one?
Okay. I just don't know where you want to go from here.
Well, I mean, I just wanted to stop. I just wanted to stop. I mean, all right, we'll look at, I don't know. So in the, That's what I'm looking at. First one is
Across.
rec department's got 37.5. You know, the ambulance revolving fund's got 16,480. Is that because we just bought an ambulance? I take it. Police details has $96,000. You know,
You mind if he speaks?
Yeah.
He had his hand up. Go.
So the police revolving detail account, that went to the residents. Sorry, I'll come up there. I'm obeying the rules. That went to the residents in 2009. When the residents corrected the ordinance and corrected that revolving account, the residents are the ones that decided that the Board of Selectmen would be the expending agents and that the money would go in there for that purpose.
But that one is for that. This is police details. That's
Correct.
like doing, you know, traffic for, you know, tree cutting. Correct.
Correct, but that's
Okay.
also to purchase. We can purchase cruisers out of that because we have when they pay for the officers, they also rent the cruiser that sits out on that
Right.
detail with them.
Correct.
So we can purchase cruisers out of that account, which is what in the CIP, which is what we're going to do to purchase the next two.
Are you going to
cruisers
purchase out of this account?
in the CIP in 2019? We're going to purchase Cruiser 1 and we're going to purchase the F-150 out of that account when those two cars need to be replaced, which in the CIP are purchased for 2019. And the residents actually voted in 2009 to make this board the expending agent of that account so that it didn't have to go back to the residents to expend that account.
Okay. Transfer station, was that the same thing? Was that voted on by the taxpayers to?
Yes, Mr. Lucia, that was voted on in 2010, went to the taxpayers for a revolving account for items to be purchased, maintained, and upgraded at the transfer station. It also has reduced our transfer station budget over the last 3 years, over $10,000 from 190 to 180.
The ambulance account was also set up for the purpose of running the ambulance in 2010 by the voters and authorized the selectmen as agents to expend.
That's for running the ambulance, not to purchase. That's to run the ambulance.
Cost associated with running the ambulance, including equipment purchase.
Right, but not to buy an ambulance.
No, to buy an ambulance.
It's part of the equipment, right?
Right.
Equipment as I look at is a defibrillator, stretchers. I don't look at it as an ambulance, but whatever.
All right, so you good?
I'm good.
Okay, next on the agenda, I put 2019 budget season schedule. This was actually more so directed to see if Aaron was interested in sitting down with Heather to come up with a schedule for this year's budget. I'll talk about it now. I'll also bring it up again at the next meeting since Aaron isn't here. But last year we got through the budget season for the town, but there were several opportunities to improve. There were several factors last year that played into it. Hopefully we're not going to have to deal with those this year on how the budget season went. But we all worked as a team to get through it, and I would like to thank the department heads who stepped up and went well beyond their call of duty to get the budget done, because the Board of Selectmen definitely appreciated their help. So that being said, I feel one of the biggest issues we had last year was we didn't start early enough and we didn't really have a defined plan. So where Aaron has been on the budget committee and is going to be the ex officio on the budget committee for the Board of Selectmen this year, I was thinking it would be a good idea that maybe Heather and Aaron sit down together over the next week and look out to the end of the year and come up with a schedule for the Board of Selectmen meetings towards the end of the year, so we start early enough on the budget season and we have a plan on what we're going to discuss and how we're going to get there.
Well, Aaron and I met with the new chairman of the budget committee last Friday and started to formulate a preliminary plan. And I know the department heads are all committed to working together to get things going on an earlier timeline. So I think that's all our plan, to get things going on our plan that's more organized this year, and hopefully we'll be on board with that.
Yep.
So we need that in the motion, or no?
I don't think so.
And Erin's not here anyway.
And Erin's not here to either agree or disagree that she wants to do that, but it sounds like she's already started, so.
Yeah, we met Friday at noon, and we plan to keep meeting.
Okay,
So,
thanks. All right, next on the agenda, meeting minutes.
I'll accept them as written.
Want to go through each date?
Yeah. Do the dates. Yeah, that's good, that's better. We have to do each one?
Yeah.
I wasn't here at the 5th.
Right, but that was the one we tabled last. I'll make the motion, but somebody's gonna have to second it.
Second it, go ahead.
Okay, I'll make the motion to accept the March 5th Board of Selectmen meeting minutes.
I'll second it.
All in favor? Aye. Do we have those, Daniel? And then you weren't at the next ones either.
You-
I'll make a motion to accept the March 12th Special Board of Selectmen meeting minutes.
Second it.
All in favor?
Yeah.
Want to do the next ones?
I'll make a motion to accept March 19th, 2018 is written.
I'll second that. All in favor?
Yep.
Aye. Do you want to table that next one where it wasn't in our packet?
Yeah, I haven't read it, so.
Okay.
Yeah.
I guess we'll just have them sign below. Sign below. Here's that one. We're gonna hold off on these till next week,
okay. That's before 16.
next meeting. Okay. Next on the agenda is treasurer and expenditure report.
Speak a little bit about the new treasurer's up and running. Been very busy, as some of the selectmen know. Been running back and forth to the bank, getting things going. We don't have a formal treasurer's report yet because we're at the end of the month was last week, but I expect one for the next Board of Selectmen meeting. Getting new bank accounts up, and those will be available shortly. The expenditure report is in the back. I would encourage the department heads who haven't taken a look to take a look. Spoke to one department head. There was a little bit of a glitch today to make sure that anything that is attributed to the right account. We noticed a few little glitches in where things were coded to which accounts, but I think other than that we're on task for where we should be. But now is the time that the budget has been loaded into the to MuniSmart, and so we need to really pay attention, but we're good, in good shape. So we're no longer in the negative or zeroed out. Okay.
And you're good? Yep. All right. Next, administrator comments.
Okay, it's me again. Rabies clinic today, Saturday 10 to 12, so please remember that. Get your dogs to have their rabies shot. The other thing is I've heard from our new assessors. They do feel like they've got a lot of work ahead of them, but they are happy to start to report that they do have a fix for some of the problems that they have people have filed abatements for, and they're not just going to fix the areas that had, or for the people who filed the abatements. They're not going to just handle the abatements. They're going to fix all of. If they notice a problem, they're going to fix it systematically for that area. But it's a lot of work ahead of them, and it's not going to be inexpensive to the town. So have patience. They are working. They're going out to the properties. So that's what's going on with our new assessors, and they're working diligently on fixing this. They called Friday and said, oh my gosh, they've got a project ahead of us. We are in the process of transitioning to TD Bank, and that's going as smooth as we had hoped. Next week or so we should know more, but we're hoping things go as well as can be expected. And Ryan's been working diligently on that as well.
Yep.
So that's all I have at this point. So busy couple weeks around here lately, and everybody's been stepping up to the plate, so thank you.
All right, selectmen comments?
Good.
Good. All right. I just want to say, new board, we have a lot of challenges ahead of us. There's going to be changes. I would like the public to be open-minded and work with us to at least let the changes happen, try them, see how they work. I'm confident the board is open to changing things, but we do have to change to move forward. We can't keep doing the same things we have been doing. I think the entire board, the entire community wants to move forward. We all want to work together to move forward. And again, I would just appreciate if everyone would have an open mind and let's try things, see how they go. Of course, we're going to have to make adjustments. Of course, things aren't always going to work as planned. But again, we can't continue to do the same thing and expect different results. So I'm confident we're going to have a good year this year, and we're going to be able to accomplish a lot, and looking forward to it.
I do have one thing I want to bring up. And if anybody out there has got any suggestions, when the state senator was here, Kenny, he talked about bringing the commission around. So if anybody's got any visions that, I mean, that lit me right up, because I got all kinds of stuff I'd love for the commissioner to see. So, you know, if he's willing to give her a tour of Milton, I mean, if we can kind of give up a bucket list of some of the things that, you know, that we want to promote. I mean, I know John talked about the scenic, you know, bypass, you know, the byways. Is, you know, if we could have a map ready for her, so when she goes through, she can see what's, and maybe we can get some ideas, and maybe we can get them to the state to kick up a notch to spruce up Milton a little bit. You know, there again, it was nice that, you know, he's going to look at the Ray's Marina property, and hopefully we can work with them so that we can make that marketable so it doesn't sit there vacant. So the other thing I'd like to do, if we're going to go with a real estate agent, if we could take that stupid sign off the fire department, that would be great. So
Yeah, I agree. I think we should take that down.
I'll give a work order tomorrow.
All right.
good. Yep.
Good. Okay. Motion to adjourn.
We have no non-publics in.
We had this one, but do you want to wait till Aaron's here?
Doesn't matter. I mean,
I'd rather wait.
okay, that's fine. Yep.
All right. You want to make a motion?
Make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second it. All in favor?
Yep.
Aye. All right.
Can I just do one thing? You gotta sign this one.